This is the story about how I almost lost everything in my trading account. Now, I do pride myself in transparency. I always told myself that I was going to be real and tell you guys whenever things were going good, whenever things were going bad, right? That's one of the main things that I pride myself in. It's just being genuine and authentic and letting you guys know what's happening, right? So this story is pretty fucking brutal. But you know, it is what it is. You know, you make mistakes, you learn, and you grow. But I'm willing to talk about it. I'm not embarrassed or shy or, you know, ashamed of what happened. I'm willing to talk about it. And this is probably something that a lot of traders aren't willing to talk about, right? Or be honest about whenever they lose. And, you know, I mean, this loss was pretty fucking huge. But I'm not ashamed. Like I said, I'm going to talk about it, be transparent, and let you guys know what's going to be, you know, happening going forward. And, yeah. Let's get into it, I guess. So last year in 2024, right? Last year was the year where I finally became profitable with trading. I was making some pretty good money. I made so much money, I'm not gonna say how much it was, but I made so much money that I was able to retire from my 9 to 5, right? At 22 years old, I retired from my 9 to 5. Quit and I moved overseas. For those of you who have been following me for a while know that I was living in Bali for 3 months. I was living the fucking dream. I was doing whatever I wanted to do, whenever I wanted to do it. You know, I was partying, I was going to the gym, adventuring, going to, you know, new places. I was literally living the life that I wanted for myself. And that was possible through trading, right? Investing. But last year was good. I mean, it was, you know, the biggest year for me. Really great. But yeah, earlier this year is when I left to Bali, and I was making pretty good money. I mean, I grew my trading account up to, you know, $47,000. Like, that's how much I had at one point, right? I mean, I have my crypto holdings separately, but that's something that I just didn't want to touch, right? Because I mean, my holdings are more long-term. I didn't want to touch those. I had my trading money, which was, you know, making me money. That's how I was, you know, fucking living and making my own money or whatever. But yeah, I mean, this one mistake happened, right? This error happened or whatever, which was my fault. And it set me back a whole year's worth of work. And it was gone overnight. Assuming you already know what trading is and how it works, I'm not gonna get into specifics on what the fuck that is, but when it comes to trading, right, when you're placing a trade, you're setting either your take profit if you choose to, or your stop loss, you know, which is, you know, it's ideal. Like, it's necessary. You need a stop loss or else you're going to get absolutely wrecked. So what happened was, one night I placed a trade, right? I already knew what levels I wanted to, you know, take my profit at. I knew where I wanted to see price go. I had an idea of where price was most likely to go. So I had placed a trade, set my TP, and the mistake that I made, which I didn't learn or know about till the following morning, was I didn't set a stop loss. Did not set a stop loss, right? And to make things worse, the night before, right, when I placed this trade, that was the day before Trump announced a 110% tariff on China. So when I woke up, you could imagine my fucking face, right? I woke up and I was down $30,000. $30,000. I mean, all of the work that I had put and all of the, you know, fucking hours that I put in, all the time, the sleepless nights, the hours I took back testing, the hours I spent trading, all of the anxiety and the nerves that I had to overcome, everything that I did last year was gone like this overnight. It was a fucking tragedy. So, you know, I was down 30,000. I had like 47,000 to begin with when I opened that position. But I mean, I was down really bad, right? I mean, like I said, it was, you know, a whole year's worth of work fucking gone down the drain overnight. It was really brutal. I mean, I was, you know, severely depressed when all that happened. I was unsure of where I was going to go or how things were going to play out moving forward. I mean, it was a rough time, right? I mean, if you lose 30,000 just like that, it's insane. It's a lot of money, you know? But yeah, I was severely depressed. I was so unmotivated. I didn't even want to go to the gym. I didn't want to go out. I didn't want to look at the charts. I didn't want to do anything. I mean, I was probably at the worst possible position that I have ever been in my life. and it was I mean, it was hard. I mean, it was really hard, right? I mean, everything that I've worked for was gone overnight, so it was hard. It was tough. That was, I think, the second month that I was there. So the third month, I was very emotional when it came to trading, because I wanted to make all of that back in like one trade, something crazy like that. So the third month, I continued to trade, but I was very emotional because I was looking for those really huge wins that would kind of make up for that loss that I made, which I knew I shouldn't have taken those trades, or not even that. I knew I should have closed some of those trades when I should have. But I was just hoping that, you know, price would, you know, erupt and I would get back to where I was. So I was leaving, you know, trades open for a long period of time when I knew I should have closed. I mean, at some point, you know, I was up $6,000 on one trade. I didn't close because I wanted it to get up to like, you know, 15,000, 20,000 to get me closer to, you know, recovering the money that I lost. But I mean, there was times where I was up, you know, like I said, 6,000, 3,000. I was making at least $1,000 a trade. And then when I was losing, I was making or over trading, placing trades very emotionally, and I was losing them. And I mean, it just kept, you know, it kept bringing my account lower, and lower until, you know, I pretty much lost almost everything. But miraculously, I did catch a really nice move. Didn't get me close to where, you know, where that loss was, or to get me back to where I was before that loss. But I mean, it kept me, you know, kept me up for a while. And you know, it was probably the hardest time trading, the hardest period of time I've ever had trading, the worst, you know, situation that I've ever been in with trading, worst experience I've had with trading. I mean, that whole month was brutal, trying to, you know, get to where I was. But you know, when you have the capital like that, right? When you have, you know, over $10,000 in your trading account, you're able to, you know, make a lot more money than you would with, let's say, $1,000, or some people have, you know, hundreds of dollars. You're able to make a lot of money, right? I have, you know, all of that documented. I have that on my stories on Instagram. Like I was making really good money because I had a pretty, you know, pretty good capital, a lot of capital. I mean, I don't do prop firms, I do my own capital. And I mean, at the time, with that amount of capital, you're able to make a lot of money, a lot of good money. So, you know, before that mistake happened, I was making pretty good money. And then after that, it just went fucking downhill. And my psychology got wrecked when it comes to trading, right? You know, I was doubting myself, my system. I was kind of doubting trading in general, everything in general. I was just in such a bad mental state. I really wouldn't wish that upon anybody, because it was probably my darkest hours, if I'm being honest. But yeah, I mean, I lost, you know, a good amount of my accounts, and I'm not able to make the money that I was making before. And that kind of forced me to, you know, come back home and pretty much start over. And like I said, I have, you know, my account, my long-term holdings or whatever. But my trading account is where I was making money and I was able to pay myself out, right? I mean, my long-term holdings or my holdings in crypto or something else, but my trading account, that's where I was making my money, right? For me. All of that went to shit. I'm kind of back to, you know, the beginning, square one. Technically, not really. I mean, I still have money in crypto, but I don't want to touch that. I want to let that sit for a couple years, see how that goes. But yeah, I mean, I went from living the dream life that I had, you know, worked so hard for, to coming right back, starting over, and, you know, getting a job again, and just slowly, you know, making my way back up. I know that I'm going to get there eventually, because, you know, I've done it once. And you know, once you learn something, especially a skill like trading, you can't unlearn it, right? Like, I mean, that goes with like every other skill, every high income skill that you learn. You're not going to unlearn everything that you've already learned, you know, especially if you put in countless amount of hours and you put a lot of effort into it and you've spent so much time perfecting this skill. You're not going to just, you know, forget it just like that. So The one good thing about it is I still have the knowledge that I have, right? I still know everything that I need to do. I know everything that I have to do. It's just now setting me back, setting me back a full year's worth of work. And I mean, it sucks, right? It's pretty tragic, I mean, going from, living the life that you want, right? Fucking doing whatever you want, right? At 22. And then just going right back to where you began. It's rough, right? It's tough, it's hard. Like, I have failed before, like plenty of times, right? Especially with trading. I mean, when you start trading, you're gonna lose fucking thousands of dollars before you even become profitable. But just in general, like I've failed so many times that this pretty much isn't technically new to me, right? It just means that I have to start over and get right back to where I was. Yes, it sucks, right? Going back to a 9-to-5 sucks, but I mean, I guess the way I see it is like a learning lesson, right? Obviously, next time, don't forget to put a stop loss. I'd say, for those that are watching and are traders, I'd say, have good risk management. Like I said, don't forget to put a stop loss and always follow your strategy, right? If I would have followed my strategy and did exactly what I needed to do, by now I would have already gotten back that money that I have lost, plus a lot more if I did exactly what I needed to do. But since I was very emotional and just kind of all over the place, I wasn't able to execute the trades that I know I should have, taken or closed. So it's it's hard, it sucks, but I mean, now this just gives me a new beginning. And for those of you who want to follow the journey of me getting back to where I was, then you can follow me on Instagram or subscribe to this YouTube channel. This YouTube channel isn't going to be about this. I'm not really sure what I'm gonna do with this YouTube channel, but I just wanted to kind of tell my story and let you guys know that things were going really, really well. All that hard work that I put in last year, it paid off, right? But it's just one simple mistake. I mean, I lost everything pretty much overnight. So it's rough, it's tough, but we get back up. It's nothing new. If you're a trader and you're also in the point of you're uncertain if it's going to pay off, or you're unprofitable, let me tell you, with time it is, okay? With time it's going to pay off. You're going to become profitable. You're going to be making money. The beginning stage is brutal. Like I've always said, learning trading is the most brutal learning process that you will ever go through. The markets don't give a fuck. They're going to fuck you up. They're going to mentally and emotionally abuse you. They're going to do everything in their power to fuck you over before you can fuck them over. So I mean, although things didn't go as planned or didn't go the way that I wish it did, I still wouldn't have it any other way, because I learned a lot from that whole situation. I'm back home now, right? Back to the grind, back to going to the gym, waking up early, going to work, things like that. But I'm kind of excited to take you guys on this journey, right? If you follow me, you're going to see the progress in real time. And if you weren't with me last year when I showed you that whole progress and how I got from here to here, then you're going to be able to see that all over again this year. Me going from where I am right now, going back up to where I used to be. Some of the things that you can take away from this is not only, set a stop loss, but one other thing that I can tell you is enjoy the journey, right? Live in the moment. Every single moment counts, because it's the journey that makes you, not the destination. If I didn't go through what I went through, right? Like last year, the year before that, or even the whole experience with me being in Bali and having that loss, if I didn't go through any of that, I wouldn't be who I am today. I wouldn't have the knowledge that I have today. I wouldn't have learned the lessons that I now know today. So set a stop loss, enjoy the journey or enjoy the moment. And I'd say don't focus too much on the money. I feel like nowadays with social media, everybody feels pressured to make $10,000 a month, $1 million a year, especially if you're young. I mean, you see a lot of young people making a lot of money and you feel pressured that like you have to be making this certain amount to feel successful, or feel like you've made it, or feel like you're worthy. That's all bullshit. It's not true. So what I want to tell you is don't prioritize money. Don't make that your priority. Yes, we need it. Yes, it's nice to have it, but I've learned that spending time with friends, with family, your partner, that's way more important than money. Money isn't everything. That's one thing that I had to learn. Another thing I learned is to be grateful for what you have, right? If you haven't, traveled overseas or gone to these third world countries or, poor countries, if you haven't gone to them or traveled to them, you probably won't understand what being grateful truly is. But if you have, visited these countries, you know how well you have it, right? I know a lot of people that travel to these countries and they come back a new person. They have new perspective on life and they feel more grateful for what they have, which is something that I had learned as well. And another thing I learned, well, it's not something that I just learned, it's something that I've always known, but I want to reinforce it. Be consistent. Just be consistent with whatever it is that you want to do. Whether you want to go to the gym to get bigger, whether you want to start that business to make more money, whether you want to go to school to learn this, get into this career, whatever it may be. Be consistent. Or if you want to, post on social media, become an influencer, you have to just be consistent. If you want to learn trading, you have to be consistent, right? Going on the charts and actually putting in the time. You have to be consistent with whatever you want to do. And discipline. And last but not least, patience. Be patient. It'll all come, believe me. If you're consistent and disciplined, it'll eventually happen. Everything that you're working for will come. You just have to be patient. Like I said, although I took that hard loss, I still see it as a lesson, a learning lesson. I know a lot of people who would have rolled over and gave up after that loss, but I've never been much of a quitter. So I'm, stand on my feet, get back up to where I was, and we're gonna make things happen regardless. So if you haven't already, go follow me on Instagram because I'm going to show you the whole process and I'm gonna show you the progress of getting to where I am now to getting back up to where I was. And regardless of what happens, we're going to make it fucking happen. So let's go, lock in and follow the journey, baby. Let's go.